So when this illiterate fire marshal, Jeremy Snyder, right, when he decides he wants to legislate from his fire marshal position, which, as you know, again, is not how it works, right? The only one who can legislate the law is the legislator, the legislative body, which there is no fire marshal. That's the head of a legislative body, right? I mean, I guess there could be if you ran for office and won, and then you were in that position, sure. But you're not allowed. Like I said again, it's improper. I get it that it involves fires, right? But like I said, this is the best that we can come up with, right? And it's just simply not enough, right? It doesn't pass void for vagueness scrutiny. It doesn't even pass a spell checker, right? The open burn policy doesn't even pass a spell checker. It's grammatically all twisted up. It's all void for vagueness. It's ambiguous. It's arbitrary. It's contradicting language. There's punctuation errors. And of course, there's no due process, right? There's no appeal process. There's no, well, we're going to notify you of this violation and then you have so many days. Like, that's due process. That's the 14th Amendment. So literally no due process, no 14th Amendment of any kind whatsoever. No way of knowing what conduct is allowed and what's not allowed, right? I've shown that open burn policy to hundreds of people, and it's like 50-50. Half the people think you can, half the people think you can't open burn. Like, it contradicts itself. And then of course it references a burn permit, right? A burn permit process, and no burn permit form or process even has ever existed and still doesn't exist, right? As of this video, there is no burn permit process in the city of Wayne. That's been spoken at length on the record by the fire chief, right? He's on the record said point blank that, he said literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He said if you're smoking a cigar on your porch and the wind's blowing or the smoke blows into your neighbor's yard and they smell it, that you have to put the fire out. That's what I was told. No matter what, you have to put the fire out. And I said, okay, so what if somebody just says no? What if somebody just says, please go get a warrant, leave me alone? Well, then we put it out for you. I'm like, well, that sounds illegal. That sounds pretty illegal. Yeah, well, if somebody complains, right? So any complaint, no test to the validity of it, just any complaint. And then that's all you need. They can break into your house to enforce the law. It doesn't exist. So I don't know, guys. I'm just saying that's kind of strange. And I don't know. I think it's wrong. I think it's really, really wrong. And, like I said, people can say what they want about me, my character, my upbringing, my family, me as a person. You can say whatever you want. But the simple fact of the matter is what's happened to me is pure evil. And pure evil has no place in government. Absolutely no place in government. Differences of opinions, of personalities, of mental health status, right? All of those things can coexist, right? But what can't coexist is vindictive, malicious, selective, retaliatory, evil behavior, which is what that is, right? To abuse the legal process time and time and time again against a protected class of person, a disabled veteran, a medically retired, 100% service-connected disabled veteran. To lock a disabled veteran in a cage without access to medical care and a CPAP machine and all of the medical necessities that are needed for activities of daily living, right? For a modicum of a quality of life, right? Which is what the Veterans Administration Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment Veteran Readiness and Employment Program, formerly known as VOC Rehab. The reason that program exists is to give disabled veterans maximum independence of daily living. That's one of the core goals of the federal government's the Veterans Administration's VOC Rehab, Veteran Readiness and Employment, VRNE. The VRNE program exists to help veterans like me and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other veterans like myself. And, you know, to also be a graduate of, you know, in my opinion, the greatest college on earth, Georgia Military College, to be a graduate of Georgia Military College, to have been in the GMC Corps of Cadets, and then to be, you know, to have my life be, you know, this country never served me in any meaningful way when I was a child. In fact, this country, you know, not the country as a whole, obviously not everyday people, but like the institutions, right? The institutions failed me and failed millions of other people. And, you know, and despite that, right, I've wanted to give back my entire life to this country, and that's what I've done, and that's what I've continued to do, and this is the way I know how to do best. Believe it or not, take it for what it's worth, but this right here is how, you know, I live my life. I try to live a life of rigorous honesty, of transparency, of accountability, and the world needs a lot more of that. And the world needs a lot more people that are just willing to call out bullshit for what it is, you know, and saying, look, for better or for worse, I'm not giving up. I'm going to see this through to the very end. Like, my rights aren't going to be violated, and then you're not going to use my case to continue to violate the rights of other people in this great city of Wayne, Michigan. Because I know I talk a lot of shit about Wayne, but like I said, I love the people of Wayne. The people of Wayne is what makes the city of Wayne great, and it's not the magical dirt, it's the people. And sometimes the tyrants have to be reminded of that. That liberty reigns supreme, and you know, the alleged inconvenience of one non-neighbor, right, Dennis Danielson, who lives over 750 feet away from my property, of course in the opposite direction as well of the way the wind blows. The wind blows northeast, right? This guy's southwest of me. So it's just kind of interesting, right, how these neighbors to my right of this, on this side of my property, all three of them have never even alleged of a problem with my fire pit. Now, I have been asked by one of my neighbors to not open burn on a certain day because she has a clothesline, right? She hangs her clothes out, which I'm totally fine with, and I've complied 100% with her request. Like, if she said, hey, just not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe, you know, this day, I've always complied with it 100%. And other than that, that's the only person that I've ever, and that's my neighbor who to the right of me. So she lives in the direction in which the wind blows, right? So it makes sense, right? Like, she would be impacted by that potentially. And she just said, I've never been bothered by it, but I'm not bothered by it. But when you're, you know, when I'm hanging out clothes, you know, I don't want the wind, I don't want a drift of wind to come, and, you know, I'm drying out clothes and your fire pit's 100 and some feet away from me, whatever, you know, right? That's understandable and reasonable. That's the key word here, reasonable, which the city of Wayne is simply not reasonable. And these transcripts, this case, it highlights it to level 10. It highlights it to level 10. And I'm just very thankful that the city of Wayne overplayed their hands time and time again. You know, they kept digging for more blood, more blood, more blood, more blood, more blood, more blood. And now they're taking another attempt at me, falsely claiming that I didn't enter mental health treatment in 72 hours, which is a complete lie. Of course, as anybody would know, a doctor is the one who determines what level of care that you get. And I went to a doctor, you know, the doctor, my primary care doctor, the one that my insurance, right? Because I have government insurance, I have TRICARE. And so, you know, as you guys know, like the provider pool is shrinking year after year after year with government insurance, because nobody wants to deal with the government anymore, because like, just like cases like this, right? The incompetence, the maliciousness, it's not all just incompetence. It's mainly incompetence, thankfully, like 51% incompetence, but The other 49%, it's a mix of several things: vindictiveness, selectiveness, maliciousness, and retaliatory, right? Retaliation because somebody's exercising their First Amendment, somebody's exercising their right to open burn, right, to maintain their property, and you know, to be subjected to this level of torture, right, is just it's just remarkable, really. And I don't know, guys. Fear for my life, though, but you know, I fear for my life, but I also would rather live my life chasing down tyrants, holding tyrants accountable. And really, the only way to really do that, I mean, sadly, in my position at least, is to just get them out of office, right? Get them out of their job, get them out of office, make them, you know, let them be somebody else's problem. Really, they should just, you know, they need to pass a state law where any law enforcement officer, they go in a database. So once they're found to have committed an infraction, they violated somebody's rights, they lost their qualified immunity, it goes into a database and they can't get another job. Or, you know, what they should be required is to have private insurance, right? And basically their premiums would vary based on if they violate people's rights. Hey, higher premiums, and then before you know it, your premiums are so high, sorry buddy, can't be a cop no more, you know, gotta go find some different line of work. So you know, the whole police profession needs a total revamp. And you know, it really just comes down to priorities, though, guys. The city of Wayne's priorities are to persecute their political enemies first and foremost. Whoever makes the most noise has to be squished like a bug, and that's just what it is, right? And there's seemingly, like I said, when you have the prosecution and the court work in lockstep with each other, right, and the defense counsel just either looking the other way or just dragging their feet, or just, like I said, I don't know at that point what they're doing. No motion to suppress, right? I mean, it's the most slam dunk case that one can have, right? And the fact that these defense attorneys drug this shit out, well, to be fair, I mean, the city of Wayne's doing what they're doing, but you know, they didn't have to put up with that. But you know, they welcomed it because it was more money, right? This is how the system works, right? It's not about the truth. It's not about, okay, well, here's the video, let's look at the 6-minute video and compare it to the police report. Okay, well, something ain't adding up here. Okay, this is the evidence, this is what's going to be used, but we're just going to cut to brass tacks here, right? Here it is, right? And it takes about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes to review all this, and it's done. I don't even think it takes that. I think it takes 15 minutes, really. From the very beginning on May 9th, from the very first body camera footage. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And you had all of that expulsionary evidence, and you know, lawyer was more interested in making 20 or 30,000 on it, right? Dragging it out. You know, a couple motions could have got rid of half of the charges, right? And no, just couldn't be bothered with it, right? Wasn't worth it, you know, because if you get rid of that, well, then the whole case collapses because it's all based on May 9th. But no, we don't want to do that because, hey, you know, that's money that we're losing, right? Because we can just keep doing this circus, right? And you know, I'll keep letting them violate your rights, and they'll keep pretending that you're a danger to the community. Yeah, you're a danger to the community because you go around with a camera and you record police officers and you ask questions. Yeah, well, that sounds like you have something to hide, guys. Okay, that's what that sounds like. And that's ultimately what it is. The city of Wayne's obviously got a lot to hide, and they don't want people to be meddling around, right, in their affairs and snooping through their documentation and, you know, microscoping everything, and you know, just having cameras available. So like, hey, you come into work and then we're just going to record you in your duties, right? And of course they'll say, well, that's an invasion of privacy. No, it's not. There's cameras all over them, but you know, sound, everything, right? And wow, it sounds like a police state, right? Well, transparency requires that, right? You know, the government, you know, the public should get complete transparency because that's the public, right? And the public should also not be surveilled, right? But the government very much should be surveilled, heavily scrutinized. And the government should welcome the scrutiny and the accountability. But of course they never would, because, you know, why would they, right? And so why would they, right? Why would they want to have, you know, because you look at the taxes in Wayne, and then you look at the results, and you go, man, there's clearly a discrepancy here. Like, something just ain't adding up here, right? Like, there's got to be a better way to do this than just violating the fuck out of people's rights. You know, because I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm the most glaringly obvious example, but I'm not the only one, right? And so there's thousands of people, probably tens of thousands of people, that have been treated in similar fashions to how I have. There's a lot of people, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, when I ask people about the city of Wayne, I ain't never heard one good thing. I ain't never heard one good thing. God is my witness, hand on the Bible. And I've tried to find somebody to say one good thing about the city of Wayne. And people that live there will say, yeah, I like my neighbors, I like the people, but I really don't like anything else about it, right? Like, there's just, the government's fucked, and everybody knows that, that's good, but, you know, we obviously need to spread that awareness more nationally, right? Instead of just regionally or locally. We need to have a bigger footprint. So, you know, the world knows about the city of Wayne, and then hopefully that'll attract attention to other municipalities in the area that are corrupt as fuck, because there are several. And then there's dozens in the state of Michigan that are corrupt as fuck. And then hopefully it'll be kind of like, hopefully, you know, when it's all said and done, this will be basically a cascade, right? It'll have a cascade effect, right? And other people will start saying, hey, well, this case was similar to the McFarland case, and this case was similar to the McFarland case. And I don't know, guys, but it's my argument. That's the truth as I know it, and I'm sticking to it. And sorry about the live streams. We'll try to figure it out, but might just have to, like I said, have a backup account. Have to start doing it just on the iPhone, more likely, which is fine. But talk to you guys.